Hello and welcome. My name is Jesse Cook, and today I will be discussing POP3 and SMTP and the hardening recommendations that I would recommend. The first item that we will be discussing today is called POP3. POP3 stands for Post Office Protocol 3. It is the third version of a widespread method of receiving email. Much like the physical version of a post office clerk, POP3 receives and holds email for an individual or a user to pick up. Once the mail is downloaded or picked up, the POP server then deletes the messages from the server, much like an actual post office. POP3 is an extremely versatile protocol. It can be used with virtually any email program. All you have to do is configure the email program to use the protocol, and your email messages will be transferred over POP3. POP3 also uses a TCP IP port connection. It uses a non-encrypted port of 110 and a secure port of 995. POP3 is not the default protocol of Microsoft, but Outlook can be configured to host POP3 as its main protocol. POP3 is extremely common among most mail servers because of its simplicity and its high rate of success. Although there are newer versions of POP available, POP3 offers more features at the basic level and is preferred because it does the job with minimum errors. Now that we know what POP3 is, we can talk a little bit more about hardening the POP3 protocol. One of the recommendations that I would make to harden the POP3 protocol is to only allow the POP3 connection through the secure port, which is port 995. You can make these changes at the firewall on any OS. I would also recommend closing the non-secured port 110 so that all traffic can be directed through a secure port. Another recommendation that I would make is to restrict all activity to trusted users. This process involves removing users who have been inactive or who are not verified on the system. The other recommendation that I would have for hardening POP3 is to set all users to enable two-factor authentication. This will require all users to not only have the correct login and password for their user account, but to authenticate themselves in another method. The next protocol that we will be discussing is SMTP. SMTP stands for Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. It was a protocol that was originally developed in the 1980s. SMTP is currently the standard for email transmission. This means the leading providers such as Microsoft Exchange, Webmail, Outlook, Gmail, and Yahoo Mail use this protocol to send and receive messages outside of their system. SMTP also uses TCP IP port connections. It connects through a non-encrypted connection on port 25, and it also connects through a secure connection on port 465. SMTP is a unique protocol because its mail is routed based on destination server. This differs from POP3 and other protocols where messages are received and are designed for distribution by individual user. In SMTP, the mail is directed based on the destination server that the user is using. SMTP also features a unique mail queue processing feature. This feature prevents an intermittently connected server from pulling mail on demand. SMTP is an application layer protocol. This is because it works within applications such as email clients. SMTP was created by the Internet Engineering Task Force, or the IETF for short. It is also known as RFC 821 and RFC 2821. Now that we know a little bit more about SMTP, we can look at some of the hardening recommendations that we would make when putting SMTP as the protocol on your email server. SMTP lacks built-in security features, which means that our hardening techniques would need to be much more accurate for this protocol. Internet spammers have been known to exploit SMTP in the past by generating huge amounts of junk email and having them delivered via open SMTP servers. Protection against these spam attacks has improved over the years, but it is not foolproof. Another hardening recommendation that we can enact is limiting connection settings to prevent DOS attacks. DOS stands for Denial of Service. This is a type of attack where attackers attempt to use a service through a legitimate route, but they overload the service with traffic until the service is disabled. You can prevent these attacks by going into your SMTP settings and limiting your total number of connections, your total number of simultaneous connections, and your maximum connection rate. Another hardening recommendation that I could make for SMTP would be to only allow the connections through the secure SMT port 465. This would require you to disable the non-encrypted port of 25 at the firewall. Another hardening technique that we can use is to restrict all activity to trusted users. Just like POP3, this also involves going in and deleting inactive users or users who have not been verified. Lastly, we must set all users to have two-factor authentication. This will require them to not only authenticate through a normal login and password, it will require a second method of verification. This concludes my presentation. Hopefully you learned something informative, and thank you for your time.